Good afternoon, this is Peter Towers from ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this webinar on ESS BizGrants. Sorry, ESS BIZTOOLS, I'll get my products right. I just thought I'd show you just a moment. I'm just getting a message that we're not sharing the screen. I just come up saying. Okay, I'm told you are seeing the screen. I had a message here that said you weren't, but what I just thought I'd show you for the start is the components of ESS BizTools, and then I'll introduce you to our keynote speaker today, Steve Owen. The components of ESS BizTools include papers targeted at small, medium enterprises on a range of subjects, including human resources. There's 530 papers that our subscribers are able to badge and send to their clients. There's hundreds of client tools and forms within the system. And then the material has been utilized to develop some specific products. Within business advisory services, we have a detailed training module, which we suggest that our subscribers utilize over a 3-month period, 2 hours a week, to get the team ready to deliver this new range of products to help diversifying your accountancy business activities. And we have 17 product modules that have been developed, ranging from subjects like debtors management, succession planning, business planning, budgets, and cash flow forecasts. We're adding approximately 4 new modules a year to the system. We have a newsletter which we produce each month. It's uploaded to our website on the second Friday of each month, so it's uploaded this week on Friday at 12 noon Queensland time. Our subscribers badge that newsletter and are able to send it to their clients. Client mentoring and coaching is material to assist in the education of your clients that hopefully will convince your clients that you are able to provide this wider range of services. Leadership modules, there are 8 modules to assist with leadership issues within an accountancy business. Client seminars and webinars, we have 34 pre-prepared, ready for use webinars, seminars that you can utilize to help in the marketing of your accountancy business to your clients. And we have ESS BizGrants, our special standalone product, which will help you to identify in a very proactive manner government grants and other grants that are available from the Australian, state and territory governments for specific small, medium enterprises. So we get you to insert the key profile data on your client, and the system will identify the grants that are suitable for your client, that your client is potentially eligible for. Today we're going to have a special feature on human resources issues that affect accountants. Our keynote speaker is Steve Owen from On The Level HR Proprietary Limited. And we're going to have Steve talk to you in a moment. So I'm just changing the presenter now, and Steve will then give his overview, and I'll come back at the end of the presentation to give you a better idea of what's included within ESS BizTools. Good afternoon, Steve.
G'day, Peter. How's things?
Good. So I'd invite you now to continue with the presentation. Thanks.
Okay, we're just doing the handover here. As usual, it takes just a second to get all this right. I'll just bring my screen up and just check that you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, we're away. Okay, so I'll just go back to the start. Hello everyone, welcome to this short webinar today on human resources specifically for accountants. My name's Steve Owen, as Peter said, from On The Level HR. This short webinar, as I said, is targeted specifically for accountants and the things they can do either for themselves in the accountancy business, but also what they can do for their clients in identifying cost savings through poorly run HR and similar issues. So I'll just carry on. So who will benefit from this webinar? So if you're an accountant, if you have a client who's not quite sure how to align their staff to their strategic business plan. If your client has an HR plan that's either unclear or complicated, or in many cases totally non-existent. If you have a client, for instance, who comes to you and says that they know they need to do something about their people and their HR within their business, but they're not quite sure what they need to do, they're totally confused. And they want to improve staff engagement, workplace culture, productivity and morale, and minimise staff turnover. This is the touchy-feely stuff in a business, as opposed to the usual policies and procedures we might talk about in human resources. And a very quick question today, who wants to learn how to earn $1,000, how to turn $1,000 into $75,000 in 12 months? Well, I'll answer that question very, very soon. I hope it grabs your attention. Firstly, boring bit about us. Firstly, what is HR? What is human resources? That's what HR stands for. In business, HR is anything that can be linked to people and productivity. So it's anything to do with people in your business and in your client's business. It's not just the payroll. It's not just about leave, entitlements, policies, procedures, performance. It's not just about staff, but management, owners, partners, customers, suppliers, anybody that's linked to your business in a people-oriented field. It's these and many, many more. Many people seem to think that HR is very targeted on certain things. One is recruitment. That's very popular as an idea what HR is. The other one is usually policies and procedures. They're the two things that really stand out in terms of HR. But there's a lot of things involved in HR that is aside from those two things. Getting HR right will save a business thousands of dollars in lost money, lost time, and lost productivity. And this is why I'm talking to you guys about this sort of thing. HR is and should be simple. There are many practitioners out there who justify their existence by blinding business owners with science. The parallel I have is similar with web guys, IT guys. They'll give you a lot of words. They're very talkative, talk with their hands and say, you need this, you need this, you need that. And really, when you're listening to them, a lot of it goes over your head. It should be very, very simple. By being proactive in human resources rather than reactive, you will then save the time and money straight away. Everything is in place, ready to go. If an issue comes up, you've got everything there ready to call on, and it does save a lot of time and money. For very small businesses, and I usually highlight here under 15, running business HR can take as little as 4 hours a week if it's done proactively and totally organised for the whole year. It's very, very important to put a people plan in place for the next 12 months, either for your business or your client's business. By doing that, they've got a guideline, and as I'll show you soon, they align themselves to a framework which explains everything and keeps everything simple. So what HR issues concern you, or indeed your clients right now? These are some things coming off the top of my head. Every single one of these is related to HR, and some might put a red flag up, and you might think, oh yes, that affects our business, or I know someone that's a problem for. Some of these things you might not even think are HR-related issues, but you've heard of them. Some things you might never heard of. But it just shows the broad scope of what HR is in the workplace and what things come under that banner. All pretty straightforward. Some of the legal stuff, especially industrial relations, work health safety, we all know we need to get those to be legal. But some of those other things aren't really thought of, like forward planning. Staff turnover is a good one. Culture and team building. Leadership development is also a very, very big one. So, like I said, that's not an exhaustive list, but that is a pretty good list and covers some of the things that might occur in the HR space in your business. So I am actually an HR business coach and a member of the HR Coach Network. So what is HR Coach? It's a human resource and business strategy group of qualified professionals helping SMEs in particular become more strategic and proactive about human resources. It's backed by the HR Coach Research Institute with over 12 years of data analysis. Everything we use as an HR Coach Network member, whether it be data, systems, tools, etc., are all Australian-based, based on Australian data, using Australian benchmarks. So this isn't any overseas fluff that's been brought in and been pushed out into the Australian workplace. This is all Australian data and Australian tools and systems. We have a network of over 110 HR professionals across Australia and New Zealand. Papua New Guinea, we have a couple that started this year, and the UK, we had 4 or 5 coaches start last year. I haven't heard lately if we've got any more over there, but I believe we are recruiting over there at the moment. And the whole idea of this is to have a international network of HR professionals. We currently assist businesses from 1 to 8,000 employees. Now, our target market is usually SMEs in the 20 to 200 area, but we can assist any employer, whether it be just a sole trader who might want some assistance with some of their governance and compliance, or a large business of 8,000 employees to do staff engagement surveys, etc. We can service the lot, but our real target, our real sweet spot are the businesses from the 20 to 200 mark. Who am I? As I said, my name's Steve Owen and I'm the HR business coach. My business is on the level HR and I specialise in performance coaching. I've got over 20 years practical experience in leading and managing teams of both the private and public sector. So I've been a manager of teams in the sizes from 4 to 150. So I've got real life experience in every staff situation dispute you can think of. So you think of all those things that you might come across in a workplace, be it performance management, workplace bullying, workers' compensation, staff conflict, all those sort of things. I've dealt with them. So I think it's a real point of difference for some people that you don't just stand behind a diploma or some sort of qualification. You do actually have experience in dealing with some of these things. And people like me can actually give you answers off the top of the head just through their personal experiences. I helped implement performance management in the APS in 1998 when it was brought into the public sector. I was working for Centrelink at the time as a team leader, and I helped bring performance management procedures into Centrelink in that time, and I'm a recognised expert in that area, and I've been working in that specifically since 1998. I have started up, managed and shut down teams and business sites in the public sector in particular. I'm an experienced facilitator. I do lots of training, not just these webinars, but also live seminars and workshops. I'm actually an old-time fraud investigator. I am a qualified harassment contact officer and also spent a lot of time working as a customer service manager in Centrelink offices. I'm an active property investor. And I'm also an ex-ATO business manager for the accountants out there. It's just to show I actually do have a tax background. The last job I had in the tax office was the business manager in charge of ABN registration and running the Australian Business Register. So it was quite an interesting job. It was my last one before I left. 2 reasons I left. One, because the business line was being shut down. As you can see there, I was responsible for shutting down the ABR team in Newcastle. And that involved a lot of packages and redeploying staff, etc. At the end of that, I decided it might be a good time for me to go, so I got a package and left and thought I'd want to start up my own business and share my experiences. So I left that, shall we say, cushy job in the tax office to share my experiences out in the private sector. I'm also an active Rotarian, and I don't live in an island working 4 hours a week like you might see many people in some of these webinars suggest they do. But I do work hard, but I do like to give back to the community in my local Rotary Club. So the figures. I know accountants love figures. The biggest cost to any business is not advertising, it's not accounting, it's not travel, not marketing, debtors, tax. The biggest cost to any business, whether it be yours or your clients, is the staff. You just think about all the money that has to be spent on staff. You think about leave, you think about training, you think about recruitment, you think about downtime, all those sort of things, and their salary, of course, is one of the main things, superannuation, the list goes on. It's sometimes underrated how important it is to make sure those staff are engaged and fully productive. And also that if you have good staff, that you keep hold of them. The example I'm using here is staff turnover. This is one of the big ones. The annual cost of staff turnover in Australian businesses is over $4.1 billion a year. That stat is from PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2014. I also have a similar stat from the ABS, which was 2012. That's at $4.2 billion. So it's pretty close. It's around that $4 billion mark a year by people leaving their business. 80% of people leave a job not because they are sacked or terminated. They leave because they're not happy in their current environment. So they leave because of their boss. It could be their senior management. It could be their team leader. It could be their supervisor. But for one reason or other, they actually leave. A lot of people are surprised by that stat because I think most people leave because they're sacked or they're made redundant. But the majority of people actually leave a good job because they're not happy where they are. And 25% leave a job. Percent of people leave a job in the first 12 months. So the reason for that is they either get bored, they don't see a future there, they're not well looked after. And again, this is the thing about engaging staff and having them engage with your business so they want to work for you, they remain loyal, and that by doing that they save money for you in the process. Two current examples of businesses losing money because of lack of HR structure. Now, we've all heard the news in the last few months of the scandals, so to speak, in quotes, of 7-Eleven and United petrol stations. The issue with these is that there's just no HR policies, procedures, governance, etc. in place. Franchisors are notorious for not providing HR guidelines for franchisees. This is something particular I'm working on at the moment. I'm at the moment working with several other people in joint ventures to come together and do some presentations to franchisors about what they need to include in their handover packages when they put licenses out. What franchisors tend to do is send out a license which will, the licensee or the franchisee will get, they'll get IP, they'll get a structure, they'll get advertising, marketing, etc., etc., etc. But a couple of things not provided with are the financials, which they have to do themselves, but very, very few of them are actually given HR policies and procedures. They have to start from scratch. So these people are coming in and starting. So it might be easy while there's only 1 or 2 staff, but if they're successful or reasonably successful, they have to bring in 15 to 20 staff. They don't have the policy procedures in place with 1, but 2, they might not even have the people management skills to deal with some of the issues that come up in a day-to-day environment. So that is a real concern at the moment. Something's going to be highlighted a lot in the next 6 months following the revelations of these 2 franchises. What happens next 6 months, we don't know. We'll see what the government does. They might bring in some new laws, which wouldn't surprise, but it will highlight the need for franchisees to ensure that their HR policies, procedures, governance and compliance are all in place when they start up a franchise. And just the message there for accountants, if you do have a client who is a franchisee, as part of your business advice, please have a look. There is a good chance managing staff is costing them money. Or they're not managing it properly, or as I said before, they might just not have the policies, procedures and governance procedures in place. So just be aware of that. The reason I say that is that accountants are an excellent source of work for HR consultants. They're the eyes on the business. They can usually tell very quickly what is right and what is wrong with a business. I understand some accountants are very perceptive. It's not just the figures they're looking at the overall business. As part of your portfolio providing business advice, please have a look at the human resources area and just see if there's any holes there that your client needs assistance with. So how do you turn $1,000 into $75,000? Well, doesn't happen all the time for everybody, but very, very generally, an example here is a small to medium enterprise. Say it's 100 staff and they've got a 16% turnover. So you implement a proactive strategy and put in place a framework that will address that, get the staff engaged, stop people leaving when they don't want to leave, and have some people have a bit of loyalty and remain with your business. Just by reducing that 6%, let's try and get that down to 10% in 12 months' time. The average cost to replace a staff member is equal to the annual average salary. And just there as an example, it's quite rounded, but I think the last figure off the ABS was 72,000. But let's say 70,000, 75,000 on average. Let's say that that's what it costs to replace a staff member. Why is that? Well, there's several reasons for it. It adds up that you have to pay out the previous staff member, you have to advertise their position, you have to go to recruitment and recruit some more people. You have staff that there's downtime because they have to interview and go through shortlists and interview the applicants, so there's downtime then. You finally do get the staff member on board. They're not fully functional for at least 6 weeks because they need to learn the ropes. You need to have a buddy trainer. So again, there's lack of productivity both in the job that's being replaced, plus the people actually do the other jobs because they need to supervise the new staff member. When that all adds up, etc., it comes to around about the cost of an average annual salary. In the white collar industry, it's actually 150% of salary, so it could actually be a bit more if you're in a white collar industry. By reducing that turnover by 6%, that means that that business will actually save $450,000 a year just by reducing the staff turnover by 6%. So what we're saying there is that if you spend $1,000 a year on each of your staff to keep them on board, you will increase engagement, increase loyalty, and many more of them won't leave as much as have been leaving previously. So that is the basic cost. If you want to keep staff and have everything on board for them, that is policy, procedures, performance management strategies, KPIs, etc., it costs on average about $1,000 per staff member in a business. So that's where we're saying if you spend $1,000, you can stop. If you just stop one person leaving, that is going to save your business $75,000. So the average cost of fully engaging and managing a staff member is approximately $1,000 per year. That's just a round rubbery figure. Sometimes it might be a bit more than that, sometimes it could be less. But on average, it adds up to be about $1,000 per year. So if this business here spent $100,000 on staff management, it would return $450,000. It would even be more if turnover decreased. So although $100,000 sounds expensive up front, the long-term benefits and the costs saved are quite obvious. So one of the things we do in HR Coach, in the HR Coach Network, is we do like to show our clients a return on investment. We don't just come in like some business coaches do and say, you need to do this, you need to do that, with no actual tangible evidence at the end of it. We like to come in and say, look, if you do this, 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 and this will save you this, and this will make your productivity and profitability this. So I hope that you find that example quite interesting. Why does this money get lost? Well, one, successful business owners have growing businesses but do not always fully understand the impact of taking on more and more staff. So they start a business, they're skilled in a particular field, they bring on staff who become successful, but they don't have the people skills to manage people, they don't have the experience to manage people, they don't even have the staff that necessarily have the people skills to manage people, and that gets costly. So it needs to be looked at. Small and medium businesses often have no HR framework and most have no annual HR plan. Businesses will have a financial plan, a marketing plan, a business plan, strategic plan, but quite often the people plan or annual HR plan will just be forgotten. Small businesses sometimes don't think they have the finance to bring in a business coach or consultant, but no, they need assistance. A great example of this, I dealt with a business once who were averse to paying $15,000 to $20,000 to cover a whole year of HR to make sure they align to the framework, put all their policies, procedures, performance management plans in place. The quote was about $15,000 to $20,000. It would have returned them, based on reducing staff turnover, about $500,000. They wouldn't go ahead with that. They thought $15,000 was too much, but they were quite willing, to spend $200,000 on an advertising budget. What they got in return from that, I don't know, but there's a perception there that advertising will bring a lot more dollars than getting the simple things right within the business. Some businesses fill several positions with HR staff, but often this is not needed and a waste of funds. And the reason is that the positions are often reactive rather than proactive. A business may have 2 or 3 girls in the office doing HR and payroll, but because it's a reactive position, quite often those people are doing those jobs are confronted with a situation not used to. There might be something, a workplace bullying scenario is often the most common, where a bullying scenario comes up and it gets referred by a manager to the HR section, and they've got no idea what to do. They've got to go looking for the policies, the procedures, and just try and get it all sorted out. They don't really know how. Excuse me. Managers and owners with less than 15 to 20 staff often do the HR work themselves. This is to save time and money, of course, or use an unqualified admin person, often the wife. Often happens in businesses, the wife does the admin, the accounting, the bookkeeping, and often does the HR as well. The cost in downtime can again be considerable. So how do we move forward? I'll just introduce the strategic action model which HR Coach uses to identify the position a business is in at the moment in respect to its people. So some businesses have a high level of strategy, others have a low level or no strategy. Some have a high level of action, others have little or no action. So the relationship between those two axes that counts. So if a business has a high level of strategy and a high level of activity, everybody in that business knows what they're supposed to be doing day-to-day basis and where they're going to. That business is poised for growth. If a business has a high level of activity, people aren't quite sure what their responsibilities are or who's accountable for what, and there's little strategy, then in that business, everybody's running around in a circle like a mouse on a wheel. What we say is they're busy being busy. They know what they're doing today, but they don't know what they're supposed to be doing tomorrow, next week, next month. They're very busy and look very busy, but they don't know the actual long-term strategy of the business. If a business has a high level of strategy and little to no activity, well, that's typical of a business in startup doing lots of planning, etc. And if a business has little or no strategy and little or no action, well, that business is at risk of exiting the market. And it is often very symbolic in Australian business of businesses second, third generation, where the incumbent grandson, great-grandson has taken over the old fella's business from many, many years ago, and although the old fella started up a great carpentry business, the new guys aren't particularly interested in carpentry. They want to do their web and IT and all that sort of stuff, so they have no real passion for it, and that's when a lot of businesses tend to fall over. So that's another trigger to look out for, is second and third generation businesses. So a question I always ask, I'll ask it for you guys in your own business and also for your clients, where is your business now? And most importantly, how do you know? How do you know where your business is? The Australian stats indicate that the businesses that are growing is currently 22% of SMEs are actually in the growth period where they have everything in place. Their activity is aligned to their business strategy. The ones we're talking about, they're running around a day-to-day business, a day-to-day being busy, is 48%. That's the target market for HR Coach and other HR consultants. These are the guys that have a business that is able and to grow, but just needs things in place, a framework, etc., to put things in place. So the remaining percentage is about 30% as startup and exit businesses. So only 22% of Australian SMEs are growing. The secret is only 5 core building blocks need to be in place to align your people to your strategy and to. So here I'm introducing the Human Resource Framework National Standard, HRF 101 2010. This is an actual HR Framework National Standard. It is the only HR Framework National Standard in Australia and is exclusive to HR Coach Network members. And here it is. So there's the 5 building blocks: organisational management planning, human resource processes and systems, governance and compliance, performance management, workplace improvement. We'll go on those in some more detail now. The first one is organisational management and planning. So this is where you're talking about business strategy, your succession plan, data analysis. It include things like employee benchmarks, KPIs, employee analysis, that's from staff's engagement surveys, and this is where your people plan actually fits in. So it's all about planning for the year. Number 2 is human resources, processes and systems. That's your policies, procedures, your attraction recruitment strategies, retention, reward, recognition programs, your org structures, positions, etc., record keeping, employee records and payroll systems, whether they're kept in books or are they kept in the cloud, in the system, and your performance management procedures. Third is the legals, government and compliance, so an annual legislation audit, internal compliance audit, compliance policy and procedure verification updates, orientation, annual orientation and communication. This is where a lot of the 7-Eleven stuff has been kicking in and around this area here in governance and compliance. Performance management is not everybody's cup of tea, but it's a real necessary evil. This is performance reviews and evaluations, coaching frameworks, peer coaching for people who want to be developed, individual development programs, and that includes leadership development, and organisational capability reporting. And finally, workplace improvement. So we're talking about workplace improvement programs. A lot of customer feedback and customer survey stuff comes in here. Specialised task force committees, workshops, group development programs, community-based projects, always good for business, and client and supplier joint programs as well. So what we say here is that the two on the right, human resources, process and systems, and governance compliance, they minimise the risk to your business, both in terms of legals and in costs. These things have to be in place, otherwise you're in serious possibility that something could go seriously wrong. And of course, if we find we've done something wrong and we haven't gone with a procedure, that can cost a lot more money in the long term. And of course, the legals come in here as well. And things like your work health, safety, etc. The ones on the left are the people-based things. Performance management, of course, is the staff. The workplace improvement is your customers, suppliers, etc., etc. These things are what quite a lot of businesses don't have, and this is the stuff you use to maximise the sustainability of your business. This keeps people loyal, keeps people interested. It also engages your workforce with your business to help it grow, and of course your customers as well. So a balanced framework. And this is one example of an annual people plan, basically what needs to go in place. This is what we try to do. We try to do a plan which identifies all the things that are needed within a business. We work out how many times they need to be done a year. Some things might only need to be done once a year. Some maybe twice a year. Some might be every month or two. But at least you know when they're due. And in this time, you also find out who's accountable for them, whether it be a manager on your site, whether it be an HR coach or consultant, or whether it be the staff themselves, or indeed yourself as a business owner or accountant. Here's just a quick example. This is from Trilby Misso, who's a legal firm in Brisbane. They installed the HR framework and the relevant policies and procedures, etc., when they brought us on board a few years ago. And with that 1 year, you can see the changeover there. In year one, they had 50% staff turnover. Year two, they had 5% staff turnover. Staff satisfaction has gone up. Notice there the improvement in productivity of 50% and the 100% improvement in profitability. That would have had a lot to do with the reduction in staff turnover. Within 28 days of installing an HR people plan, this is the benefits: reduction in red tape, consistency and sustainability in HR frameworks, streamline internal processes to meet external requirements, succession planning for teams in business, winning internal confidence, communication of the business, productivity improvement, and staff will notice a change and become more engaged once they know you're starting to get them more involved. It's a model for change and sustainability. There's a return on investment and an increased profit. Transparency and audited function of the business. You win more contracts and get more client confidence. You have own confidence and your own peace of mind because things are starting to go on the up. And there's consistency reporting, irrespective of the HR practitioner. The plan all remains exactly the same. So even if you leave one coach or consultant, go to another one, or indeed take it on board as one of your managers take it on board, the consistency is still there, so anybody can take it over without much change. So just to wrap up, all I'm asking you today is either within your own business or as an accountant, if you have a business that you can identify that needs assistance, these are the basics they need to do to take action and move things forward. Firstly, they need to conduct a full HR business audit. Not only will this will ensure all policy and procedures are in place and current, it will also identify any holes in the HR framework that need to be addressed. Second thing is to install an HR management system. This will have all policies and procedures and updates there at the same time. Now, there's many out there in the market. HR Coach, we have our own called HR Staff Manager, but there's many good products out there. There's even an HR module, as you know, in Xero. So there's all sorts of things you can use. But as long as something's there, try and get away from the paper trails and the blue books and diaries hidden away in the drawers. Try and get something in the cloud, consistent, because the system will actually give you dates and highlight things that need to be updated. Conduct a full staff survey, especially if you've got more than 15 to 20 staff. Get a full staff survey, get the feedback from those staff to find out what's working in your business, what might not be working. It's very valuable to get them on board, and again, increases their engagement and loyalty. From the data gathered, implement a 12-month people plan addressing the HR framework. That's the important thing. Once you get that, if you get that framework in place, your business is guaranteed to move forward. Designate managers or consultants, etc., to manage the plan over the 12 months and find out who's accountable for each of those modules, and review and recommence after 12 months. And that's it. You just do it again and again and again. Start, stop, start all over again. Plan, do, review, act as written down the bottom there. An SME with 15 staff or less can manage HR in 4 hours a week in a best case scenario, and that is just the actual management of the HR policies, procedures, etc., etc. So other things pop up, but the good thing is that things will be there ready. So if there is a staff conflict, if a manager needs assistance, he'll be able to go to the HR person in the office or to their HR coach, and the full policy, procedure, etc. will all be there. It'll be done properly, and there's no chance of it coming back to bite you on the backside in weeks and months down the track. And just the final message: successful human resource management is proactive, not reactive. So plan, do, review, and act. You'll save yourself a lot more time and a lot more money and stress by having things in place and not reacting when they just start to happen. And that's where I wrap up there. So I'm sure Pete will take over soon and see if there's any other questions. But if you need to get in touch with me at all, something there's rung a bell and you'd like to get in touch with me, that email address is slightly wrong there. That shouldn't be Steve T, it should be just Steve. I'll have to fix that slide. So it should be steve@onlevelhr.com.au, or visit my website and have a look, and there's a message thing there you can send me as well. So if anybody hasn't got any questions today, or you think of any questions afterwards, by all means you can get in touch with me via those channels. Thanks for listening. I hope you found some of that interesting. Like I said, the whole idea is to try and keep HR simple and to the point. And basically what I've covered there is a whole way to get a business aligned to an HR framework and move forward and save money and time in the process. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. By all means, if you've got any questions, let me know. And I'll hand it back to Peter. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Steve. We just done the change over there, so hopefully you're seeing my screen again now.
Yep.
So just a few other matters that I'd just like to bring to your attention today. We have some further webinars on ESS BIZTOOLS over the remainder of October. There's a ESS BizGrants webinar on Monday the 19th of October at 12 noon to have a look at an overview of the system. And on the 28th of October, ESS BizTools at 11 a.m. AEST and 12 noon Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time, where we're going to look at developing business advisory services to help accountants avoid suffering. That's an interesting topic at present. If any of you are going to the ATSA conference, Australian Technology Showcase for Accountants, next week in Sydney, ESS BizTools will be there and we'll be exhibiting from stand C6. Please come and see us. And if you are at the conference, I'll be presenting a paper at 12:30 on Tuesday that you might be interested in how to build value from virtual Chief Financial Officer services. So hopefully you might be interested in some of those webinars and the presentation at ATSA. There are still tickets available for ATSA. If you wish to attend, you can contact us and we'll organise it for you, or you can contact Smith Inc. direct. I'm putting on the screen now the pricing package for ESS BizTools subscription. You can view this by going onto our website and clicking on to pricing. That's what I've just done. You'll notice ESS BizTools offers you a number of alternatives. You can view the alternatives on our website. The Gold package, which is our premier product, includes subscriptions to every aspect of ESS BizTools, including ESS BizGrants. And you can subscribe to that for $261.80 per month, including GST, or you can avail yourself of an upfront discounted subscription price of $2,970. I was amiss at the beginning of the webinar. I didn't ask you to type in any questions and then raise your hand in webinar style. I'll just check if anyone has put in any questions. If you think of any questions later on, can you please send them through to us, and I will get Steve to answer those for you. We will be sending you a link to the webinar recording if you wish to have another look at this webinar recording or discuss it with your colleagues in your firm. If you have any questions on any aspect of ESS BizTools, particularly how ESS BizTools and ESS BizGrants can assist you in delivering outstanding business advisory services, we'd love to hear from you. Please contact us. So once again, I'd like to thank you, and Steve, thank you for this presentation today. And
thanks, everyone.
I look forward to speaking to you at future webinars. Or if you would like to become a subscriber to ESS BizTools, we would really like to hear from you when you are ready to subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.